The afternoon rain swept across the city like a cold, gray blanket, turning streets shiny and sidewalks into shallow rivers. Cars splashed through puddles as people rushed past with umbrellas pulled low, each one hurrying to reach somewhere warm. Under the weak shelter of a torn cardboard sheet, a woman sat on the wet pavement. Her knees were pulled close, a thin, worn blanket wrapped around her legs. In her arms, a tiny baby whimpered softly, its cries fading under the roar of the rain. Her name was Hale. Her hair, once full and beautiful, now hung dull and tangled. Her soaked clothes clung to her thin frame, revealing months of hardship. There was a sadness in her eyes, a deep, heavy sorrow that made strangers look away instead of closer. Beside her were two small children. A little boy, maybe 6 or 7, held an old plastic cup and stood bravely near the edge of the sidewalk. Whenever someone walked by, he lifted the cup with both hands and whispered, "Please, anything you can give." A girl of about 5 stood next to him, her tiny fingers gripping a small, cracked soup cup. She shivered each time cold water hit her feet. She was scared, but she stayed because her mother told her they had to try. People passed by constantly. A few dropped coins, some ignored them altogether. Some glanced with pity, but pity never filled empty stomachs. The baby cried again. Hale rocked her gently, humming a broken tune she barely remembered. Her voice was tired, thin, and cracked with cold. She touched her cheek to the baby's forehead and whispered, "Just a little longer, Mama's here." It wasn't the baby's fault. It wasn't any of their faults, and yet here they were, homeless, hungry, forgotten. Across the street, inside a long black car with tinted windows, sat a man living in another world entirely. His name was Musa. He was known across the city, magazines, business meetings, interviews. A self-made billionaire with hotels, real estate, and companies that stretched far beyond the country. The kind of man people admired from afar or envied. But today, despite everything he owned, his heart felt heavier than usual. He stared out the window, watching the rain streak across the glass. His mind wandered across worries, business deals, friendships that had faded, and the quiet loneliness he rarely admitted to anyone. His driver, Tundi, an older man who had worked for him for years, glanced through the rearview mirror. He could always tell when Musa's thoughts were drifting somewhere far away. The car slowed at a red light. Musa sighed, turning his eyes toward the crowded sidewalk. He wasn't looking for anything in particular, just watching life move around him. Then he saw her. At first, it was only a shape, a woman huddled beside 2 small children. Nothing unusual. Cities had their wounds, but something tugged at him. He leaned forward, squinting through the blurred window. The woman shifted the baby in her arms. Her wet hair fell away from her face. Musa froze. His heart stopped. No, it couldn't be. He blinked, wiped the fogged window, and leaned so close his breath steamed the glass. The jawline, the curve of her cheek. Those eyes, even drowning in sorrow, he would know them anywhere. "Hale," he whispered, barely breathing. Tundi heard the tremor in his voice. "Sir, is everything all right?" But Musa didn't answer. He couldn't. His entire world was suddenly sitting on a wet sidewalk across the street. The wife who vanished 3 years ago. The woman he searched for endlessly. The love he mourned every night. And there she was, so thin, so worn, holding children he didn't recognize. Children? His mind stumbled, unable to keep up. Who were they? Were they hers? Had she been alone all this time? Before he could think further, the light turned green. Cars honked impatiently behind them. Tundi moved to accelerate. "Stop the car!" Musa shouted. The driver jolted, slamming the brakes again. "Yes, sir. Pull over now." Without another question, the car swerved toward the curb. Before it fully stopped, Musa threw open the door and stepped into the rain. His polished shoes sank into a puddle, his expensive suit soaked instantly. He didn't care. He started walking fast, then faster, then almost running. People turned, confused. Some recognized him. A billionaire sprinting through the rain wasn't something you saw every day, but Musa saw nothing except her. As he approached, his steps slowed. Fear tightened in his chest, the fear that this wasn't real, that she'd vanish again, that the truth might shatter him all over. Hale lifted her head just as he reached her. Their eyes met. Her entire body stiffened. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Color drained from her face. She knew him. "Musa," she whispered. That single word nearly broke him. He knelt in front of her, rainwater running around him like a stream. "Hale," he said softly, just her name. The children huddled close, frightened. The boy stepped in front of Hale, trying to protect her with all the bravery his small body could hold. The girl clung to her mother's arm. The baby started wailing, cold and hungry. Hale trembled so violently she could barely hold the child. Musa reached forward, then stopped, afraid to scare her more. "Hale, where have you been?" his voice cracked. I searched for you every day. Her throat tightened. A sob escaped her lips, tears mixed with rain as she cried silently, unable to speak. By now, Tundi had reached them with an umbrella. He froze at the sight. My God, he whispered, it really is her. Musa kept his voice gentle. We're going home, you and the children come home with me. But Hale panicked and shook her head. No, I can't go back. It's not safe. His heart dropped. Safe? Hale, you're sitting in the rain with children. What could be more unsafe than this? You don't understand, she whispered. Someone wants to hurt us. Hurt you? Musa's voice tightened. Who? She shook her head, too terrified to explain. Before he could say more, the baby's cries grew desperate. Hale tried rocking her, but the child was too cold. That was the moment Musa broke. Hale, please, let me help you. Let me help them, he signaled to Tundi. Bring the car. The children recoiled when Musa reached for them. The girls screamed, hitting him with tiny fists. The boy kicked and twisted in fear. Each cry felt like a blow. This was his family, and they were scared of him. He guided Hale gently to her feet. She nearly collapsed. He supported her with one arm as he led her toward the car. All the while, she whispered, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for, he told her softly. But the truth was clear. Whatever nightmare she had survived, it was far worse than he imagined. 30 minutes later, the car pulled into Musa's mansion. Servants rushed out with umbrellas, then froze when they saw her. Hale, alive, gaunt, holding a baby. 2 frightened children pressed against her legs. Whispers rippled through the staff. Musa gave no one time to ask questions. Prepare rooms, hot water, clean clothes, food, a doctor, now. The head housekeeper, McKenna, hurried down the stairs. The moment she saw Hale, she burst into tears and pulled her into a warm embrace. We prayed for you, she cried. Hale didn't speak. She simply leaned into McKenna's arms, shaking with exhaustion. When a servant tried taking the children to wash up, Hale cried out, No, they stay with me. Please, please, they stay with me. McKenna soothed her gently. Of course, the family stays together. She led them upstairs to a warm bedroom, one Hale once knew well, but she felt like a stranger in her own memory. One by one, the children were washed, dressed, and fed. Hale was helped into warm clothes. The baby finally stopped crying once she was clean and dry. Hale whispered the baby's name. Amani. The children ate quietly at first, then hungrily like they hadn't eaten in days, because they hadn't. Musa stood in the doorway watching them, his heart heavy. He saw the bruises on Hale's arms, the cuts on her legs, the way she jumped at soft sounds, the fear in her children's eyes. He saw what life had done to her. He saw what her disappearance had cost all of them. And yet, with all the confusion and pain inside him, one truth settled into his heart. For the first time in 3 years, she was home, and no matter what it took, he would protect them now, all of them. The house had grown quiet by the time the private doctor arrived. The storm outside had softened to a gentle drizzle, and the long hallway echoed with nothing but the steady tick, tick, tick of the old wall clock. Dr. Barasa, a calm middle-aged man with silver at his temples, entered the guest suite. The moment he saw Hale propped up on the bed, holding the baby close, a look of sadness crossed his face. He remembered her disappearance. Everyone in the house did. He turned to Musa. Musa, tell me what happened. Musa could only shake his head. There were no words big enough. Just help her, he said quietly. The doctor nodded and approached slowly. Hale tightened her arms around the baby, fear flashing in her eyes. The doctor lifted both hands gently. You're safe here, he whispered. I'm only here to help. After a moment, Hale nodded. The examination began. Musa stood against the wall, arms folded tightly across his chest, watching every movement. He didn't move when she winced. He didn't breathe when she trembled. He didn't look away from her for even a second. Dr. Barasa checked her pulse, breathing, cuts, temperature, then knelt to listen to the baby inside her womb. Hale hesitated but slowly lifted her shirt a little. The room grew still. The rhythmic thump-thump-thump of the unborn baby filled the silence. The doctor's face tightened, not with fear but with concern. He finished quietly and stood up. Musa stepped forward. What is it? The doctor looked once at Hale, then back at Musa. His voice softened. She's extremely malnourished. Her body has been under severe stress for a long time, months, maybe years. Hale lowered her eyes, ashamed. What about her injuries? Musa asked. There are old bruises and some newer ones, cuts that have become infected. I'll give her medicine for that. But her body isn't ready for heavy meals yet. She needs small portions often. I'll make sure she has everything, Musa said, almost desperate. The doctor hesitated, glancing at Hale's belly again. There's one more thing. Musa's stomach tightened. How far along are you? The doctor asked softly. Hale touched her belly protectively. 8 months, she whispered. The doctor nodded. Around 7, maybe 8. Musa felt the room tilt. 8 months. Hale had been gone for 3 years. A terrible silence filled the room. The doctor removed his stethoscope and looked at Musa with gentle honesty. Musa, this child is not yours. The words hit like a blow. Hale's tears fell silently, not the loud sobs of shock, but the quiet, painful tears of someone who has carried guilt for too long. Musa stepped back. His jaw tightened. His chest rose and fell unevenly. He turned away, covering his mouth with one trembling hand, fighting the weight crushing his heart. The doctor spoke softly. I know this is hard, but whatever happened to her, she needs rest, food, and protection. And the unborn child is in a delicate state. Please be gentle. He left the room quietly. Now only Musa, Hale, and the soft breathing of the sleeping children remained. For a long moment, Musa said nothing. Then he turned, voice tight. Hale, whose child is it? Hale's lips trembled. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. I can't tell you in small pieces, she whispered. Please let me explain everything at once. From the beginning. Her plea was full of pain, real pain. Musa rubbed his face, exhausted. Not tonight, he said. You're too weak. He left before she could say another word. His footsteps echoed down the hallway until they faded. Hale sank back against the pillows, tears slipping quietly down her cheeks. She looked at her children sleeping beside her, all huddled together for warmth and safety. Later that night, McKenna came with warm broth and medicine. She touched Hale's hair gently like a mother comforting her own child. You're safe now, McKenna whispered, but Hale shook her head. No, I'm not, McKenna frowned. Sweetheart, no one is going to hurt you here. Hale lowered her voice to a shaky whisper. The person who wanted to hurt me knew this house, knew our routines, knew everything. McKenna froze. Hale looked at the door as if someone might be listening. I'll tell Musa everything, she whispered. He deserves to know. It took Musa nearly 2 hours to gather the strength to return to the guest suite. He paced, sat, stood, walked away, came back, all while fighting to hold himself together. He had survived betrayal, business crises, and heartbreak, but nothing like this. When he finally entered the room, Hale was awake. She looked at him with fear and hope. We need to talk, Musa said. She nodded. Please sit. He sat quietly, arms crossed. Hale took a deep breath. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, she said gently. I left because I thought I wouldn't survive if I stayed. Musa frowned but didn't interrupt. Her voice shook as she continued. It started with small things, feeling watched, a car following me, then messages, threats, notes under the door. Musa inhaled sharply. He remembered her fear long ago, but he didn't know it had grown this dark. I told you at first, Hale whispered. You said security would handle it. Musa closed his eyes. He remembered, vaguely, dismissing her fears as stress. He regretted it instantly. It got worse, Hale continued. One night, someone broke into our bedroom. I saw a shadow standing over me. I screamed. They ran. Musa stiffened, his jaw clenched. His eyes darkened, the quiet anger of a man who had been blind for too long. When I was 7 months pregnant, someone forced my car off the road, Hale said softly. The baby almost died. Musa lowered his head into his hands. And the worst part, Hale whispered, tears falling, was realizing the person behind it wasn't a stranger, it was someone close. Someone who knew us. Musa lifted his gaze slowly. Who? Hale hesitated, terrified. Musa, the person who wanted me gone, was someone inside our circle, someone you trusted. She didn't name all three here, not yet. Not all at once, just enough for mystery, for tension, for engagement. Musa leaned forward. Tell me who. I will, Hale whispered. But not in pieces, not scattered. You need the full story. Everything I've carried alone. She wiped her tears. And when you hear it, you'll understand why I ran, why I disappeared, why I couldn't come home. Musa swallowed hard. He wasn't angry anymore. He wasn't confused. He was scared of what he was about to hear. Hale took another slow breath. Musa, what happened to me out there was worse than anything I imagined, and it didn't stop with one danger. There were more. Musa felt his heartbeat in his throat. Hale looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. And the unborn child I'm carrying has a truth behind it that will break your heart. Musa's chest tightened. But you have to hear it, she said, all of it. Her eyes filled with tears. Then you'll understand why I came back. Musa nodded slowly. I'm listening. And Hale began the story that would change everything.